It was all there.
Yeah, it was 620 horsepower to the wheels, all-wheel drive, like damn near kill you kind of car. And like that list just kind of goes on and on. So I do like, that's, I think maybe sometimes I have an issue with Hyundai. I think that's why sometimes I have
this man. He just any chance he gets to shit stomp KTM cars. He's ready.
He's like, I really like heritage cars. You know, the ones, the legacy, they all come from, and I just hate Hyundai. Do the intro jingle.
Dun 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Fish Cave. MartiniWorks. We're back for another episode, season dos. I want to show you guys something really cool because I know sometimes people are like, oh, you have a couple cats. I do. This is my cat blanket. Got it as a gift.
No one wanted to see that.
It's got at least 4 cats on it. Here, I think this.
It's okay that some things are private in your life. I know you do a lot of the social media stuff, but some of it can just stay off the internet.
No, okay. Make sure it doesn't touch the ground. Okay, we don't want cat hair getting on it.
It's not the fucking American flag.
Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, brought to you by your hosts, me, and a little bit of Dakota, and mostly Gels. To be honest.
That's false. I probably see the least out of anything.
We're gonna change it up today.
I'm trying my best.
You're gonna lead everything.
It's on you. Gels, start us off with the first topic of today's podcast.
The first topic is all about evolution, and they can't take this one out of the textbooks because it's about us and how we've evolved as car enthusiasts over the last few years or so. Because I know personally, I've changed a lot. I don't know about you guys.
I went through my music taste on my old YouTube channel when I was 16, and I had some trash ass taste in music, and I feel like now I had some trash ass taste in cars.
That's a good way to put it, to compare how your like music taste changes along with your car taste. And I think a little bit of it always stays with you, and like you can always go back to, and you're like, all right, this song it brings back some good times. Just like maybe you owned a really shitty car, but to you that car is
Well, it's like I was listening to like Borgore and original Bring Me the Horizon on this old favorites playlist, and I'm like, this is very wild and outlandish music that says ridiculous things because I was young and boisterous. And now I still listen to Bring Me the Horizon, but his music is way different. And I don't listen to Borgore anymore. I don't even know if he's still making music.
I don't know.
But it's kind of the same thing with cars. I feel like you're a little bit wilder.
Yeah, so that's what we wanted to get into was
yuckiness.
How has it changed from when you first started as a car enthusiast, started getting into cars, started modifying your cars to now? Because I know personally for me, a lot has changed, and I'm noticing it, and I'm calling it out as it's kind of happening. Just like I still love slam cars. I still love stance cars. I love seeing them. But me personally, I kind of want to go a little more functional with my next setups.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I just like I even like the way the functional setups look now, and I can just see like
my boy's growing up.
Yeah,
growing,
getting into tires, and maybe I won't do that aero because it actually is just not functional at all. And don't get me wrong, I'm still gonna put not functional shit on my car. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I like. It's just like right now I don't like some of the same stuff that I used to as much.
Yeah. What about you, Gels? What's the biggest?
Yeah, has anything changed, or is?
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, what I think mostly it is like, kind of growing up with everything, and then just past experiences and like learning from those experiences, and be like, yeah, that was kind of fucking stupid. Like, shouldn't have done that. When I decided to plasti dip my wheels in like 20-degree weather in like my parents' garage with no preparation and like 2 coats.
I did that in your garage. Very recently.
See, you'll get there. And it was lime green too. Just stuff like that.
Full
or just
circle.
Like buying parts for the sake of just installing them, even though it made absolutely no sense and there was like no cohesiveness with like anything.
I got in a full fight with my father about ground wires because I bought ground wires for my 3000 GT, and I was like, this is going to make a difference. And my father, who's an electrical engineer, looked me dead in the eyes and he's like, mijo, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, father, it is. The gauges are so much bigger, and it's red. and it says performance on it, and he's like, okay, mijo, and then he just walked back inside.
My favorite thing is when Alex tries to do an accent. It's always like Russian, no matter who's speaking. It's just every time, no matter
He's
what.
talking about his Mexican father.
Yeah, I don't even know what my dad sounds like.
ground wire. Mijo.
Mijo. I just don't remember. I don't even know how to do accents.
I know. It's my favorite thing.
Do a Mexican accent.
I'm not gonna do that.
I tried to trap him. It didn't
Yeah,
work.
that was fucked up. I
Anyways.
had a similar experience too. We had our Dodge Neon, and we had to replace the brakes, and I like was begging my dad, and like, you gotta get the ceramic brakes.
Yeah.
You gotta get the good brakes for the Neon. Like,
Yeah,
upgrade.
yeah.
He's like, why the fuck would I do that? It's like, those are $60, and these ones are like $30. I'm not getting the fucking $60 ones. I'm like, no, you should really get this. And I remember we went back and forth on that for so long, and it's just so stupid.
It reminds me a lot of, and I don't know if we've talked about it in the podcast, but there's like, you almost have this graph of, how much time you spend in a hobby, and then how much confidence you have in that hobby.
Yeah.
Right? And every single graph is the same. And you see it in 18-year-olds that talk a lot of shit on TikTok. They start in the scene, and their confidence in what they know spikes. Like within the first year of being a part of it, they go to one track day and they're like, I know everything about track days. And they post their GoPro footage where they're like passing cars on a practice lap, or there's a group of cars getting off the track, and they're like, I passed this Lamborghini because I know how to drive a car. It's like, no, asshole, it's a fucking practice lap session. The guy's literally going off of the track. Anyway, over time,
your Miata is falling apart behind me. I'm getting out of the way.
Yeah. He did a point by, not because he thinks you're faster. Maybe he's just practicing a line. Maybe he's practicing a corner. Not everything is a race. Not everything's Gran Turismo. But anyway, you've got this graph, and then over time, as you spend more time in the hobby, your confidence actually goes down. Because you learn so much more about the thing that there's so much more to consider before making a decision. And now all of a sudden, it may not seem like you have as much confidence, but you spent way more time in it. You started to get it more and more and more. Then finally, at the end, you get a little bit of an uptick in your confidence, but it never is that that almost arrogance and ignorance. And I feel like when you're 16, 17 years old, no matter if you want to admit it or not, we're all in that sense a little bit like, oh, you gotta get this one, or like, no, the ground wires, they do make a huge difference.
Yeah, so I think there does come, like, I think it comes with experience, it comes with time, it comes with like the trial and error things, like, like, oh man, yeah, that was kind of stupid, they were right about that, or like, no, like, I actually did enjoy that, I actually really like that. I think for me, like, I've always kind of leaned more towards like like when you talk about like style of builds, I think I always lean more towards like the functional side of things until I got the RX-8. And like, I really, it was like having almost like a quarter life crisis of like, I never got to do this like fully to a car when I was in like high school or like college or anything. And now I can. I'm going to go stupid with it. So like, I did the loud wrap. I did the big wing, we did the wide body and all that kind of stuff. We did the air suspension, like everything that like 18 to like 20 some year old me would have wanted, that's what we did to it. And I gotta say, it was a ton of fun, but I mean, look at the car today. It's completely different.
What's been neat is to watch you dial it back.
Yeah.
Now. You got to go crazy, got to go wild, like you said, do those things you never did, and now you're like refining it. And I really like that. I think that's sick, and I'm glad you did it, because I think it's important not only like for the experiences that you got to like wrap a car and do all that, but like it's so much, especially as a content creator, it's so much better to have the experiences to talk about and relate with people versus just talking about it in general and really having no clue,
Yeah. And I feel like I've always been one of like, I would just like to try that.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not turn out good, but I'm going to try it. And we're going to see how it goes. And that's how it was with the wrap. And when we wrapped it ourselves. And
you did a good job on that.
It held up. I mean, there were some areas that were a little rough, but I mean, overall,
every rep.
Yeah. I think
that's the thing. So, okay. Question time.
Okay.
Ready.
Let's say you go back to your 16 to 18-year-old days when you felt you had a very strong opinion about something.
Okay.
Going back from then to now, what is one thing that you said back then that may have been controversial in the car scene that you still stand behind to this day? Dakota, you go first.
Oh, shit. Okay, let me think. So,
and say how long ago it was.
I got to think of something controversial. I don't know if I'm necessarily the most controversial. and that I still see. That's the problem is I look at all my Facebook memories from back when I was 16, 18, and I hate myself. I hate seeing that shit. It's like, my God, what was wrong with me?
I remember like going back and like seeing like the memories pop up like my 428, my Eclipse, like we got this. I'm like, that,
dude,
shut up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's like, I don't know how much of.
I'll take you on a run. I'll race you in my 3000 GT SL.
Dude, no, mine was like, this is dead ass. I can remember one that I remember perfectly that I seen. And I was just like, oh my fucking God. It was, I had my PT Cruiser. I had 4 12-inch Type R subwoofers in it. And I was going through the McDonald's drive-thru. And the person at the window asked if I could turn my music down because it was literally shaking the stuff inside. So if I could just turn it down, I posted about it on Facebook because I thought it was the coolest shit. Yeah, McDonald's worker has me turn my music down. And 12-inch Type R is really slapping, you know?
Yeah.
And that was a really bad one. And it's like that constantly. I just such stupid posts. Anyways, okay, something I said that was controversial that I still hang on to today.
Yeah, that's a tough. I can't really think of any.
Because what I was gonna ask was,
you can change the question.
Okay. Well, can you go first? So then I can
you
think
got
a little
one?
bit because I almost hate
Wait,
everything.
why are both of you turning on me at the same time?
I can't really think of one either because I sound a little arrogant. I feel like I have looked back and be like, no, yeah, that was a stupid take to have.
Yeah, I
like,
learned a lot. Yeah. That's for sure. I don't know if there's anything that like,
because it's like the same thing. It's like I look back at this, I'm like, man, that was so great.
I guess the only thing that I've really stuck by is like I've always just made the cars I've wanted to make, and I've done the mods that I've wanted to do, whether they were stupid or not. There was people that I was inspired by, I'll say, but I wasn't like influenced or wanted to do a copycat build or seen a car and like I want to build just exactly that. Maybe a little bit with my Cobalt as I was learning, but I've always just wanted to do my vision, make the car my own, and that's a constant that stayed, is always wanting to modify something. Even when I wanted to not modify something, I got out of the car scene for those couple months that I tried. I still ended up modifying that boring ass car that I had. So I think that's the only constant that has stayed, but I've definitely learned a lot and said a lot of stupid shit. So
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. I would say probably the thing that I said back then that I still stand behind today, number one, is like when people hyper focus in one type of like subculture in the scene and they don't get any sort of interaction with other parts of the scene, they almost lose credibility in my eyes when they start talking about things outside of that space. Like there are people that will, that have never, ran bags. They've only ran static their entire life, so they just talk shit about bags.
They have no reference point.
But they have no reference point.
It's like, oh, well, my buddy, one time had this.
Buddy that installed it in 45 minutes and has 3 kinks in the line and one's torn. Yeah, air ride sucks.
Yeah. It's the same thing, though, with like people that I had this happen with when autocross was at least really taking off in like my local area where, autocross was the best thing in the world, and going to the drag strip was like akin to killing an animal. Like, who goes to the drag strip? Children? You don't know how to drive if you just go to a drag strip. And it's like, well, have you ever been to a drag strip before? And they're like, no. You just put the gas pedal in a straight line. It's like, well, there's more to it than that, right? There's a ton of fun in drag racing. It's like one of my favorite cheap ass automotive activities you can do. It's still the cheapest one I think you can do.
I mean, yeah, you literally can just like go on a Friday night, like out to WIR here and be like, yeah, here's $20. I'm gonna run a couple
laps down the
It's like, here you go.
So I stand behind that still, that like you have to, if you are an opinionated person, that's totally fine, especially in the automotive scene. But if you're going to be like vocal and opinionated, you have to have something to stand on. The actual experience behind you matters. You can't just have an opinion on things to have an opinion on things.
Right.
Because nowadays it seems like everybody has an opinion on what people should or shouldn't do. And it's like, well, what experience do you have? Well, none. Okay, then shut the fuck up. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, don't have an opinion on something if you don't have the experience. At least if you're trying to change other people's perception on it. Like, you can have an opinion on something, but if you're going out there telling me that every other form of motorsport is trash, but you haven't done that motorsport before, I think that's silly.
Yeah, I think it's fine to like not have an interest in it, but it's not right to tear it apart. Like, especially if there's a large crowd that, really enjoys it. And yeah, you at least have to have some experience in it a little bit, I think, to...
Oh, absolutely.
There's also more of a hot take one, and that is that I really think that the amount of people that complain about their Plastidip application versus the people that defend Plastidip being an identical replacement to paint. I just don't think that's
And that's
true.
fair because you did do it.
Just to talk
You did
about
it.
it.
You did it right.
I did it multiple times too, and I remember people that didn't talk like Plastidip was a direct replacement of paint got like shit on by the Plastidip community, like absolutely trashed on. And I've done it 3 times with multiple different cars, and I've done it correctly. I followed the thing to spec. I followed the application to spec. I used the right materials, the right amount. I used people that have done it before. I had the proper ventilation. I could have practically painted my Datsun in the way that we had it
You
set
probably
up.
could have.
And it just didn't look that good. It wasn't.
I think it's good for smaller things like
Sure.
wheels probably being the biggest, and then like logos or
Yeah.
like your Mazda logo on your car or something like that. Like
I'm sure it's progressed from then to now.
I'm
but
not a huge I am not an advocate for Plastidip or telling people that they should go use it to modify their car. I just did it recently. I did it once as a 16-year-old and once as now. So it's cool to see the differences. I did it a lot better this time, and it's held up. I don't have anything bad to say about it, but I wanted to do it just specifically for a winter set because I didn't give a fuck. And the point was not giving a fuck, and I knew I was gonna thrash it around, and it's my stock wheels, and I didn't have money for paint, so I was like, fuck it, let's try this Plastidip thing again. And it's held up, but it does look like you can tell it's dip. You know it's dip when you get up close to it. In pictures on IG, yeah, maybe not, but like walking up in person, it has that tactile rubbery finish to it, and it will never look as good as paint. It'll never look as good as wrap. And
even wrap is so hard. I think with wrap is
Yeah.
how popular it's gotten. Everybody thinks that it's like a 1-to-1 to paint. It's like no, I stand pretty firm on the fact that paint is paint.
Yeah,
Paint is
there
the
are some
best way to
really
go.
there are
Yeah,
some really
paint.
quality wraps out there,
Yep.
and I'm not gonna lie, they look good.
Yeah.
I mean, I have nothing against wraps.
No, I don't mind it,
It-
but
but
it's
yeah,
not
it's-
paint.
Paint is paint.
Yeah.
Wrap is wrap, and dip is dip. Like
Yeah.
it's just their own
Stay in
thing.
your lane.
Yeah, literally.
All right, we got a little sidetracked, which is perfectly fine. But the question I was thinking of, and I wanted to hear from you guys was, is there, because we all have a style, I would say, to modifying our cars and building them and things like that. Is there anything from your original, like when you started days, that you carried through to now? It's almost like your question, but it's still a little bit different in like what same characteristics do your cars end up having that you've kind of
Josie
carried
first.
through?
Sure. Oh man, I feel like when it comes to like overall style and stuff like that, I'm still trying to refine that.
Sure.
Personally, and I think it'll always evolve and
Yeah.
it'll always
Yep.
change and stuff like that. But I feel like I'm still kind of working on it, just because I haven't been able to modify cars in the past as much as I have within the last few years.
Mhm.
So like I feel like it's really starting to come to fruition now. But what I've noticed myself focusing on a lot is like not going after like the most expensive parts, but going after quality parts.
Sure.
And like the difference that makes. Because like when I look back to like my Neon and my Eclipse, that shit was built off eBay. Like I literally
Yeah.
bought the 428 engine from eBay. I bought a header off eBay. It was like the knockoff brand. It was like the Amusa exhaust for $100. Like,
Yep.
and it was like it worked. It got the job done, but like after a year, the exhaust would rattle. And
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like
Yep.
rusting, and like that's when I got like the FRS. I was like, I want to put good parts on it, and I got the Greddy exhaust. I got the Tomei header. I got like these like saved up more
Yep.
and bought like the actual nice part. I was like, holy shit, this is so nice.
Yeah, that's always the cool thing though, that I feel like you start finding what you just kind of explained in build threads.
Yes.
I think that's the what's so fun about reading build threads, that it just doesn't seem to be a thing anymore, which is people will talk like that. They explain why they went and bought the part. Not just that they bought the part, but
Right.
like, I wanted to go after an authentic part, something that really worked well, and I found that product X did that for me.
Yeah.
It's not, it's like when people start talking about coilovers, they're always like, well, if I want to go on the racetrack, I got to go get KWs. And it's like, KW's a fantastic coilover. That's $4,000.
Right.
Yeah.
There's alternatives to
And
that.
that's what I mean. That's why I wasn't going buying like the top of the line, like spend money just to spend money because more money means better quality. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I legit went out and like researched like how did people, what were people's experience with this? how did it hold up? How does it sound? How does it look? You know, and that's what I was focusing on. I'm like, I don't want to have to keep spending money on shitty parts or like cheaper parts because like they don't last like, you know, more than a year versus just, okay, spend the $200 extra dollars.
Generally, like the feminine is terrible and the installation is horrendous, and it's just overall like the entire experience.
The experience changes incredibly, like, and it's not even, you don't even have to spend that much more.
Right.
You really don't.
Yep.
Totally. Dakota?
Well, okay. You going last?
Yeah, I am, because you didn't even answer the question that I asked. You thought I
No,
forgot?
I did. I said there was one constant, and that was anyways, okay, I'll answer it. I think because it took a little bit to find my style, and I tried a few different things. And I think it finally hit with my Evo, but I've always liked really low cars. I thought that looked really cool, so I did that for a while. But then where it kind of evolved and then became my specific style, I'd say that others have done too. I'm not like claiming it, but I've loved the track look and combining that with stance, to like, you know, getting aero bits like canards, splitters, side skirts, wings, and then but going with more stancier wheels and stancier suspension and going with that look and kind of combining them together. Like I said, I kind of started that with the Evo, and it's carried through from the Evo to the Focus to the Supra, and I think that's kind of where I like, even nowadays I still like that look. Like I think some of the best looking cars out there are time attack cars. They're just like,
because they look like they want to kill you or eat you.
And they almost,
everything is for a purpose.
It looks like a monster. Yeah, and it's all functional though.
Everything is purposeful.
It has a point, and
it's mostly plywood.
They almost look like fake, not real. Like they just look like monster cars, and they're so insane. And some of them are super crazy. What are you doing? Eating hair?
I don't know. There's something in that Coke.
Why are you looking at me? I didn't package that.
From your fridge.
Are you roofie gels, Alex?
I might have.
No, but that's what it is for me. So let me hear from you, Alex. Or has your style just changed completely 100%?
No, not really. I think my favorite thing to do with my cars has been to merge different cultures and timelines. And the greatest example was that when I had my Datsun 280Z, that was a 1976, and we had a 355 supercharged V8 in it, and then we poked an intake cowl out of the hood. I think we did that again when I had the E55 AMG, and I really wanted to bring like a domestic look to this European vehicle. So we went with these really, you know, chunky tires to give it a little bit more of a domestic look. We've purposely raked the car a little bit to give it a little bit more of that like battle drag stance.
Yeah.
When I had a hodgepodge of fucking.
When I bought the 996, I really wanted to give it the European initial look and then combine it with like the Japanese undertone. So we went with, you know, more of a Japanese style wheel with the directionals, and then we went with the blown out livery that looks like it was, you know, ran around on a racetrack. With the Ferrari, it's kind of been the same thing, like trying to combine some of the things that I love about the Japanese culture and how they do their fitment on their wheels, but then adding in, you know, some different, I don't know, colors and themes, things that you would look at it and you're like, that doesn't just look like, you know, that branded car. It looks like if somebody took that car and wanted to make it look a little more tuner, or make it look a little bit more domestic. And then I try to pair that with like generations, you know, like the 2001 996 had a livery that we literally took inspiration from a 2001 Super GT Porsche. And we said, what would that livery look like if we made it in 2020, and then literally backdated it and said, well, what if it was on the car for 20 years? So design something for 2020, make it look like it was put on the car in 2000. What do we get? And then how do we kind of make that work with everything else that was going on the car? So I don't know. It's just like combining different styles and then combining different generations. I really enjoy doing that.
That's
it's
really
fun.
cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I guess I never really like I have noticed it, but like haven't like put it together.
Yeah. So like the 430, we want to do a livery on it again. So I wanted to take the concepts of the 1970s Ferrari F1 livery that they put together with a colorway for the new thing that we're launching, or the new thing that I'm launching in April, but then putting a little bit of spice into saying, you know, there's a lot of new trends coming out of Japan that have to do with like chalk design and like flat color, then outlining things. And it's like, well, what happens if we start playing with that look? If we put those looks together, what do we get? And then go from there.
Absolutely. Well, that timer lets us know that it's time to take a break. So let's go pee and poop and come back.
So gross.
All right, welcome back. New subject on the table here, and I want to fire it off right away.
What you got?
Because
bud?
I think it's a spicy one, and I've never really fully understood it, and I've tried to understand it, and I kind of get it, but maybe not to the
Gels
fullest
first.
extent. It is, should you be loyal to one car brand, or is it okay to just be loyal to one car brand?
I think we got 3 people here who have
I don't give
been
a
loyal to
fuck
a single
about car
brand.
brands. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about car brands, to be honest with you. I'm going to buy whatever vehicle I like at that
Yeah.
certain time.
I think it's a case-by-case basis. I mean, personally, I've had a handful of vehicles from BMW, Mazda,
Bim dub.
Subaru, Toyota, both kind of thing, I guess. You know, had a fair share, and I wouldn't say that nothing. And maybe someone probably could argue, well, it's those brands that you choose. You know, wait till you drive this. But you know, that's where that conversation comes in. But I mean, I don't know. I like experiencing like other cars and other platforms, and I think that, you know, there are brands out there that do some really good things, and there are brands out there that have some shortcomings. And you know, I think it's fine to have like a brand loyalty to a brand, you know, but therein comes a lot of arrogance as well in some cases where it's like, no, this is the best brand and anything else sucks. Because, you know, you run into those people. You really do. And then you get into a lot of like hate and shaming on other brands as well. You know, like
Yeah.
Subaru gets a lot of shit.
And I think some of
Okay,
it's
so
been
wait,
good
with that
fun,
being
but
said,
some
what's the
people
worst
take it
brand?
serious. Oh,
There you go.
the worst? See,
No,
I don't know. I don't know the worst
Worst brand. Worst brand.
You.
No, you can't just turn the question
No,
back
you.
around
Uno
because you get,
reverse.
because you
I'm
get
not nervous at all. I just don't have an
Gels?
opinion.
I think Mitsubishi.
What?
New, like nowadays, Mitsubishi?
But why do you say? Have you had one of their SUVs? Do you really know?
Oh my god. He
No,
doesn't like it
because
'cause
they're
it's
awful.
They're doing something right. They're still around.
Barely.
No, but they are. We're Scion FRS boy.
Toyota.
Yeah,
GR86 doing
that was-
fantastic.
that was on purpose.
Scion
Yeah.
gone.
Scion was on purpose. Though.
They were giving out free hairdos at car events.
That was no.
And they were like, okay, yes.
Were they really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they tried to be hip and cool, and
They
everyone's
were.
like,
They
"Oh,
were
okay."
hip and cool.
They did. Yeah, it just didn't play. I'm not hating. I'm just talking.
Just to be clear for the fans out there, the integration of Scion and Toyota was 100% calculated. That was a short-term play for Toyota the entire time, because Toyota was trying to figure out how to make Toyota cool, and
Yeah.
they didn't want to risk the Toyota brand name, so
Right.
they purposely built Scion
Mhm.
as a stepping stone for college kids to get used to what would be a Toyota second purchase. They did the whole thing on purpose.
Mhm.
And so when they did get rid of Scion, all those people, they didn't care anymore because they were all either buying Subaru or buying Toyotas or about to jump into a Toyota.
I give a lot of props to Scion. I think they did a lot of cool things. I mean, like,
Flat rate
hairdos.
pricing.
Yeah.
Flat rate pricing.
I mean, you got like the FRS, and then, you know, that whole, like, it kind of launched like a new era of like sports cars. I feel like entry level sports cars.
Yeah, they were one of the first ones to bring it back because all you had at the time really was Nissan, and Nissan 350Zs at the time were
Yeah,
pricey.
I remember when the BRZ came out and the FRS came out, and like that was right around the time with like the Gen Coupe and everything like that, and like seeing those two cars together at like the meets for the first time, I was like, holy
Yeah,
Dude,
no,
the
when
Jenny Coupes looked so good when those cars came out. Oh
When I
my
was in
God.
high school, I did think the XB and the TC were cool.
The TC I thought was pretty
TC
neat.
was cool.
Yeah,
No, I like the XB, the box.
we're not going to talk
I
about
think
that
because
one.
there was like no, because they made like an Xbox one or something, and the game system was like in it. I don't know if it was like at the Chicago Auto Show or
that was
where I
Paint
seen
My
it.
Ride.
I thought a lot of those
That
cars were
was-
cool too.
That was
so
7 p.m.
probably-
on MTV.
Yeah.
There's probably a good chance.
Yeah, more
Probably a good
likely.
chance.
What do you
Uh,
think, Dakota? Though
I think
brand loyalty.
I think people that are dead set on one brand and one brand only are fucking dumb.
Damn.
I think you are so narrow-minded that you need to open it up a little bit. And again, now I'm not completely shitting. If you like a brand, cool, that's great, that's awesome. But being those the one type of person I'm talking about that's just like, I got a Ford and Chevys can shit my pants. And then they got like the Ford parking only garage sign and a Ford owner lives here sign in the yard and a Ford decal on their Ford truck. And
it's like that kid that's pissing on the Chevy logo.
Yeah.
God,
But it goes for any brand. It's not just Ford or Chevy or domestic brand. This happens all the time where people just absolutely shit on another brand because they have a certain brand. And again, some of it's in good fun. Some of it is like they wholeheartedly believe this and they have no idea. And I think people need to be more open-minded in the car community and give a chance to cars and then form an opinion. And then if you don't like a certain brand because of certain opinions you have, sure, that's great.
I hear you, but GTR Master Race. It's the best car ever. 1,000 horsepower Supra.
That's a
bajillion horsepower.
You are saying words right now.
Bajillion power RX-7.
That sounds sick, actually.
90s
What is happening?
Master Race. I don't know. I'm just saying the comments of like TikTok.
Oh,
and it's like,
yeah. I mean, I look at the cars I've been primarily like Japanese cars, and like that's just what I like. I mean, I don't know if you consider that brand loyalty in a sense, but
No, I mean, I don't know if I would say that I'm brand loyal, but I do.
Over Porsche.
I do have a type.
yeah, he does.
I do have a type. My type is like heritage vehicles, heritage brands.
Yeah.
I do like brands that carry a certain like pedigree.
Like Suzuki.
He's
in
trying
motorsport.
so hard to not
Like
say
Suzuki cars.
No, not
Oh,
like Suzuki.
so what are
The
you
Suzuki
referring to?
Jimmy is an awesome vehicle, by the way.
Jimmy!
Yeah.
What are you referring to? What brand then?
I will say not that one. I'll say another one. I enjoy, so like one of the things that I really, really enjoyed back when I was 18 or 19 was picking up a Audi C5 A6.
Sure.
It's the ugly Audi from that time frame. The B5 S4 was the good-looking one. That was the Nogaro blue, the Imola yellow, the beautiful. You got a 2.7T. It was a twin-turbo, 6-speed, all-wheel drive car. And I got the C5 A6 that had the same exact engine, same exact trans because I was a broke college kid and it was like half the price. But the reason I bought that was because of all the history that I had learned about why the 2.7T and why the Quattro all-wheel drive system was built in those cars for that reason, taking off from the group rally racing from the 80s and the 90s. So I like buying cars that have like some sort of heritage and motorsport behind them, and then that turning eventually into a road car. I do like that. I like that transition. So like
Yeah.
the 996 Porsche was kind of the same thing. It was the last,
There it is.
it was the first water-cooled turbocharged car that came from Porsche at the time.
Sure.
And by all definitions was an incredible car, but because it had the squished headlights, it got crushed for resale value. So it was such a great car to pick up because from a performance perspective,
It was all there.
yeah, it was 620 horsepower to the wheels, all-wheel drive, like damn near kill you kind of car. And like that list just kind of goes on and on. So I do like, that's, I think maybe sometimes I have an issue with Hyundai. I think that's why sometimes I have.
This man, any chance he gets to shit stomp KTM cars, he's ready.
He's like, I really like heritage cars, the ones, the legacy they all come from, and I just hate Hyundai. Whoa, what the
Every goddamn time.
Okay, but let me hear you out.
So here's why, because I do get a lot of flack for this on YouTube. Is
I'm not surprised.
People get mad at me for not liking them, and I need to say this before anything else. I know a lot of people that own Hyundais, and they're fantastic people. They're like the nicest group of people.
Okay, I was gonna say, we're
the
talking
KTM
about cars.
Yeah, I know, but like the problem is when I talk smack about them, I imagine the group of like Adro friends that I met, and I'm like, I'm talking shit directly about their cars, and I don't mean to.
They are all hopping in there in Elantra ends right now.
I know. They'll probably break before they get here.
Oh my
yo.
So anyway, no, my Hyundai thing just has to do with the fact that I feel like Hyundai treats those performance cars as like quick cash grabs. And then in 3 years, they come out with like a new car, a new lineup, a new performance thing. And everything for the heritage that could have been in like the Veloster, for instance, is dead. It's gone forever. And they're like, oh, no. Now it's the Elantra and the Kona N. And so everybody's going to get ramped up about the Elantra and the Kona N. And then the Kona N's probably going to get discontinued because it can't meet emission regulations, which Hyundai knew it wasn't going to meet emission regulations, produced it anyway so that they could make the money, and then they're probably going to kill off that line, and what's going to replace it? I don't know, other brand new Hyundai name.
Volkswagen
that's
did that,
gonna
but then they
exist
just
for 2
lied
years.
about it.
Like, not every brand I think has to be like a heritage brand. I mean, I see nothing wrong with Hyundai coming out and be like, hey, here's a new platform every 4 years. I don't see anything wrong with that.
But I do, because a lot of times the people
He
in the
wants that
automotive
vintage
because the people in the automotive community
I can't put an old race car wrap on it because there's no old Hyundai race cars.
Well, there's that, and there's the fact that these aren't first-time buyers. The automotive community, a lot of times, aren't first-time buyers. Like, they're not the first one to get that car. They're the second, they're the third, they're the fourth, they're the fifth. They're not the first. So it's like by the time that car gets to the 18-year-old that has $5,000 to spend, and the car's on its like seventh owner, it's like halfway falling apart.
Like every car that an 18-year-old buys.
Yeah.
Not true.
Have you seen my 240?
Well, is that your first car?
No.
I don't know.
Did you
But
see
he's the
my
18th owner,
Eclipse?
no?
Yeah, no, you just didn't drive it.
I drove my Eclipse all the time. I drove it to your shows plenty of times, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we
And
go.
Alex didn't
and
take a look at it.
nah, clearly not.
You gave me an award for it, you fucker.
Oh yeah, I did do that.
All
right.
So it was there. At
Okay, wait. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I was listening and I blacked out for a little bit there.
Yeah, I
give me
got
a
lost. on
one sentence cleanup summary, maybe a couple sentences. I'll give you a couple sentences because it's hard, of why you dislike Hyundai. A summary, couple
on
sentences. Not this huge heritage story type shit. I
Well,
just need a couple sentences here.
That's supporting evidence. Okay. Let me think. Give me 10 seconds.
Okay, all right.
You need to stop making noise.
This is a podcast. If we go radio dead, dead air. They're clicking off.
Everybody besides Dakota can talk.
Chels,
I don't talk anyway.
entertain them. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois,
Showing
Indiana,
off
Iowa,
again.
Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan.
Dakota's got like 4 skills, and that was 2 of them.
He's gonna start clapping with one hand.
I mean, I can do that, but you can't see it on the podcast, and it's going to sound like I'm not clapping with one.
What's it gonna sound like?
I think my hesitation with Hyundai as a brand has to do with their inability
Man,
to
he is
want to
watching
build
these
a
words.
legacy for the
Spit it
cars
out.
for the cars that they make, and that is the reason why.
Lame.
Boo.
I wanted more. I wanted
No,
some juicy.
no, you-
That's not
Now,
really
if you
a
would've-
reason.
now, if you would have said like they slapped that huge fucking N logo everywhere,
No,
then I would
like-
agree.
Alex, the
like-
thing
Because
is,
that's
okay, hear
ridiculous.
me out for a second. I
I
think
don't
the
wanna
problem is Hyundai made cars for a while, and they're a lot older than people realize. Like the Genesis wasn't like when Hyundai started; they go way back,
Yeah.
and they built shit cars. They weren't good. They were very unreliable. They were bad. They don't want a heritage. They want the opposite of heritage. They said, please, please, Alex, forget about our old cars. Here's our new stuff. Check out all our new stuff. Look at it. We just made a new one.
That's the exact.
but
No.
it's good, though.
This is the exact problem.
they need a new
Because-
brand.
because then they're like, okay, here, look at all this new stuff. By the way, we made the fucking logo light up. We put fake flames in the digital dash when you turn it to the N mode. We gave you all of these sounds to make the car sound like it's a race car. We gave you all of this surface level vanity shit. Instead of saying, hey, the real problem with our cars is longevity. It's making a car that can last a period of time in the motorsport realm. Instead, they're like, hey, we're going to make the fucking the bar that's in your trunk, we're going to make it red.
The cat?
We're going to make that red.
Cat
The strut bar. The strut bar.
Okay.
Cat bar.
Okay. But I guess personally, I haven't heard these reliability issues or issues of these newer cars or Veloster owners being like, yeah,
I just
100K,
know-
this fucker went through 8 engines. I haven't heard that at all.
I just know that it's been blowing up lately. That's all.
I've heard stuff about like cheaper Hyundai interior stuff before,
Yeah.
and I've came across it. I've noticed it. The seats squeak. You get a little bit of creak going on. Maybe the infotainment system is a little gaudy, just like 90% of them out there. I'm trying to find the real reason.
That is the real reason.
No, there's something. There's
deeper.
something.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. There's
No,
something.
that's,
keep trying to pry it
that
out of
is
them.
the real
all right.
reason.
I want to flip this on its head a little bit.
Okay.
So we've been talking about brand loyalty, if it's all right or not.
Yep.
All right. if you had to pick one brand for the rest of your life, what would it
Oh, so now we gotta
Easy. Easy.
Suzuki.
Easy.
be? Love them Jimmies.
Oh, Hyundai.
Simple. Kia.
That's yeah. Oh man, this is tough. This is like when you say one fast food restaurant for the rest of your life, and I
Taco
really
John's.
just got it.
Ask me the next question.
No, okay. Well, you didn't answer the first one. One
Porsche,
car brand.
Porsche.
Ugh.
There it is.
Easy.
Okay, Giles, do you have one in mind? Because I'm really struggling with this one.
I think if I were to answer this question like based off of everything going on right now, I'd probably have to say Toyota.
Ooh, good pick.
Honestly, I
Just
mean,
because they've been doing some really
been
cool
killing
shit, and I don't see them slowing
like throughout
down
our
anytime
entire
soon.
life too,
Yeah.
not just like just now or
Yeah,
just
and
in the
it's like they
90s.
got-
It was like
they've
they've always done
They
cool
have
shit.
that like upswing right now with like Gazoo Racing, and
they
like,
got
all the
good
crazy
trucks.
shit.
They got good cars.
Yeah.
Well,
They're
I don't
they're
know.
They have a
probably-
little bit of everything.
They're probably also reporting their credit accurately to those that take financed Toyotas out. Unlike Hyundai doing that with
I just,
2.1
like, they just
million Americans because they don't know how to even do their own
Listen,
finances.
I don't give a shit about that. They make cool cars. That's
God.
I would use cool loosely. I wanted to find the core reason why Alex hate. Anyways, okay, so one brand. The reason I was thinking about this while you're talking, I struggle with this so much is because like I don't think long term about pretty much anything.
That's true.
Ever.
It's very true.
And then not only that, but like I haven't. Like there's not one thing I stick to. I was a Android user that went to Apple. I was a Nikon
Yeah.
shooter that went to Sony. I was an Xbox kid that went to PlayStation. Like
You were a Taco Bell kid that went to Taco
John's.
John's.
Oh my god!
Let's
Dude, I know.
go.
And it's with everything. I don't know if there's one thing
it's happening.
that I just stick to. I love
He's a
brand hopping.
changed man.
No, I love doing it because then I feel like I can have an opinion on it because I've experienced it, I've used it, and then that
And things
fucker that
change.
says Apple sucks and he's had Androids his whole life. It's like, no, you can't fucking say you haven't even tried. You don't know.
Yeah.
But sometimes Apple does suck. But what I'm saying is it's really hard to picture because part of the fun in the car scene and community and stuff has been owning all the different makes and models. I went from Ford to Chevy to Chrysler to Mitsubishi to Toyota / BMWs. I've just had a ton of
Volkswagen,
different brands.
yeah.
Oh, too many Volkswagens.
Too many.
And
You have to. When you own one Volkswagen, you're actually legally obligated.
I
by
just
Volkswagen
all of a
to
sudden
own
started
5.
buying more. It was
Yeah,
crazy. I
It
bought
really
one
did
and then
happen.
It's like
It's
a
like
problem.
Sportwagon 20th anniversary Mark
Yeah.
IV Jetta fucking just
Volkswagen-
spiraled out
ended
of
up
control.
with like 3 Volkswagens,
And it was within, like,
Yeah. I'm
within a year.
I'm convinced Volkswagen
That was
people
wild.
are the equivalent of plant people. Like Volkswagen
Yeah.
people are the equivalent of plant people. Once you have one, you go out and you buy like 10 plants. It's the same
Yeah,
thing with Volkswagen.
Yeah, I could see that. That makes
How
sense.
many plants you got?
No, they don't combine though. It's just the same kind of mentality of like you get one and you're like, oh, I kind of have to get this
okay,
one.
Okay, Guppies.
No,
How many
God.
guppies?
I am wearing the fish hat, so that's fair. No, okay. So one brand I get, and that's it.
Yeah.
My God, you've been thinking about this
Dude,
for a
it-
minute. We've
I don't-
talked
I
for
don't-
I knew
15
this was going to
minutes.
be tough for him.
I don't know if I could answer it honestly.
What do you
don't
think?
know.
What do you think Sean Berger would say is his?
I think he'd be
Ford?
in the same fucking boat.
I think
Yeah,
he'd
he
say
would-
Mercedes.
Oh yeah, you're right. I said Ford because I just know how bad he wants a Mustang Cobra, and I feel like if he did get that car, he would almost be content for life.
Sean, if you hear
But-
this, if you're watching this, for the love of God, just buy a goddamn Ford Termi by now.
Yeah.
It's been like 9 years. I've known you for at least a decade, almost. Just buy one. At this point, just go in debt.
He wants it
and
in
do
that what's that name of that car?
Mystique.
Yeah,
Mystique.
Yeah,
Trust me, I know. I've only heard him talk about it. Literally since
Okay.
I was 16.
If I had to pick,
Yep.
I'd probably pick Toyota too.
If you couldn't pick Toyota because he has the same answer, what would you pick?
Okay, if Toyota was off the table,
Yeah, he's getting in his Toyota RAV4 because the world is ending. I'm getting in a Porsche Cayenne GTS.
all right. Okay,
You're going to jump into a
I was almost gonna say Nissan, but then I realized that I'm gonna have the same 3 options for the next 40 years.
he's going to jump
So I'm
into
not
a
gonna do that.
Pathfinder.
You jump into your 30-year-old brand new Nissan.
Parts will be
Maybe-
available though.
That's true.
Okay, no, I plead the fifth. No more. I'm out. I'm tapping out. I can't.
It's so hard to make a decision with
I'm
Dakota.
tapping out. I
Okay,
literally
wait.
can't.
I do have another question then,
Okay.
really quick.
All right.
All right, so
We
we got
got time.
5 minutes left, okay?
Not of the podcast. We're just taking another break.
We're just taking
Don't
another
click
break.
off.
We have the world is ending, okay?
No.
Okay.
Who told you that?
There's a comma.
Why?
It's,
Comet?
It's 2012, right? The world's
No,
going
it's
to end on
2023.
December 21st of 2012.
Yeah,
if you remember this.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Okay.
I watched
Now
the movie.
We lived through
you run out to the garage, right?
Mhm.
You have all the stuff that you have to bring with you. You have to survive in a post-apocalyptic world with one vehicle that never runs out of gas. What is your go-to one-of-one utility vehicle that can do it all?
Volkswagen Harlequin.
That is the worst car you could have picked.
Hear me out.
How are you so decisive on that? But you can't pick a brand.
That is his like.
That's my bug out vehicle.
Yeah, that's his bug out vehicle.
Could you imagine, like, you're trying to, like, stay alive in
yeah.
this post-apocalyptic world, like The Walking Dead, and all you see is, like, a
clown
fucking
car coming
a Harlequin.
Scraping and shit.
Mac Miller's just playing
Going like
in the
50
background.
miles an hour top.
Honestly, I'd be like, I'd be jealous. Honestly, I'd be like,
That's what I'm
damn,
saying.
that dude's doing it right.
It's kind of like the Family Guy skit where they're all in the jungle and there's like army guys.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden Peter Griffin comes out and he's dressed as a clown. And he's like, you guys are idiots. They're looking for army guys. That's the mentality
I
right
like
there.
it. I like it.
Uh-huh.
And I'd probably, oh god,
Your number one bug-out vehicle is what? Remember, you have unlimited gas.
yeah.
I mean, in like to be realistic, you probably want like an SUV or like a truck.
Yeah, that's why like a Forerunner comes to mind like
Yeah.
immediately.
Big Toyota guy. Dude, just
Big
fucking
Toyota.
loves Toyota.
Big
They
Toyota
make
guy.
cool shit.
They
I
do.
don't know.
No, I love
and it's
Forerunners.
all insanely overpriced.
Yeah. Yes, it is. The dash is still from
Yeah.
like 22 years ago for
Yeah, it
some
really is.
reason.
Yeah, I'd probably go Forerunner. Fuck it.
That's cool. I'd probably go with a Sprinter van.
That'd be cool.
Like a
Practical.
Mercedes. Yeah, it's practical diesel. They last
No.
for literally ever.
Yeah.
Then I would do a Ford Transit.
Ford
But it
Transit,
would-
that's a
it'd
good
be
one.
Slammed.
Okay, we
and
lost
on
some of it.
wheels.
Okay, we lost a little bit more.
And it'd be sick because those things look dope when they're lowered.
So you guys are just gonna make TikToks in van life when the world ends, huh?
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna open the doors. It's gonna be like a Pacific Northwest edit with like tea.
Like showing you how to
This is how you live off the grid.
This is how I painted my.
Get ready with me, and then I'll get. I don't know. It's
I
weird.
installed vinyl floors into my transit van.
That will last 6 months
Yeah.
until it gets wet 1 year. Then the entire thing is gonna get ruined. Anyway,
That was a
that's-
lot of shade thrown in the last couple minutes there. And I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. Kind of like the Hyundai comments.
How
that
would you
came out.
sleep? Would you fit in a Harlequin if you needed to sleep in one?
Yeah.
That's supposed to
What
mean.
kind of fat shaming shit was
It's
that?
not fat shaming. You have a lot of shit you got to carry with you.
Oh,
This is the
okay.
apocalypse.
I don't gotta carry shit. It's a hatch.
Why are you like this?
It's a functional car. A Golf was made for the people.
I'm not saying it wasn't made for the. I'm saying it was a post-apocalyptic situation.
I'm not gonna have much.
What? There's still fucking roads. What's the big issue? There's just nobody else.
Have you
driving
never
on them.
watched an apocalyptic movie? Like there's shit
Yeah.
all over the roads. You got to go off-road sometimes. You got to carry all your shit with you. You're
don't
gonna need to learn how to
have
shoot a
to.
bow and arrow. You're
I
gonna
know
have
how to
you're
shoot
gonna have
a bow and
drink
arrow.
blood to stay alive.
Bow.
You're gonna have to double tap. And you're saying through
In the
all of
hatch.
this, everything's just gonna get in the hatch. Everything's gonna fit.
Have you owned hatchbacks? They're nice. A lot of room.
Yeah, yes. I'm just out of all the vehicles. That's it.
It always
I'm
has
with him
been
on
my-
this one.
It's
Yeah.
always been my bug out vehicle, so I have to do
I've
it.
been
Like
saying
I
that
said,
shit for years.
if you're making jokes and fun of me and I gotta pick something else, then yeah, Ford Transit, sure, we'll run with
No,
that.
that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that you were confident in your answer.
A bulletproof Ford Transit, missile proof.
Missiles? There's
Transit.
a lot of missiles.
Have you ever watched post-apocalyptic movies?
Missiles everywhere.
There's missiles everywhere.
There's not missiles everywhere.
Sometimes depends what post-apocalyptic world you're living in.
I'll see you in Alaska.
All right, I think it's a perfect time to take a little bit of a break and stay tuned. We got one more subject to come back to, and then who knows? Maybe we'll fire off some random questions that we do at the end, and that's always a good time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meow. And we're back with the next segment of the MartiniWorks podcast. Well, what are we talking about, Gels? What's on the docket for today? What's on for the third segment?
I forgot.
What?
Okay. Well,
What makes a good
yeah,
car build?
I was just gonna say it's
Christ's
talking
sake.
about what really is the sauce to understanding how to make a properly
The
good-looking
secret Big
car.
Mac sauce.
There's a
to build in
fucking
car.
recipe.
There's
I
a
promise
recipe.
you.
There's people out there that no matter what they build, they seem to just hit the mark right.
And you know why that is?
Why?
I know why it is.
Why is that?
Yeah, give us a secret sauce.
It's cohesiveness. It's does
You're absolutely
everything.
right. I thought you were going to drop some dumb
Yeah, I was
I
expecting
know.
some.
I've been on some bullshit tonight,
Yeah.
but like I was looking forward to this topic.
Yeah.
No, I
Forgets
truly
it.
yeah.
I was like, here he goes. He's gonna say something stupid to me.
No, I truly think like finding something and like making sure that it just flows. Like the overall like flow of the vehicle and the build, like it makes sense. I think when you really start to see cars and like it'll have a huge wing and then it'll have like a roof rack. Or it'll like, you know, like just it's like a mix match of like different styles.
Yeah.
And it's like you can just see the trends in the vehicle. It's like,
Yep.
oh, you did that because of this TikTok video. You did that because it was cool in 2016 and you can finally afford it. You did this because it, you know,
Yeah.
like
Kel's fucking calling people
Yeah.
out right now.
He's like, get rid of your VSKFs, you fuck.
Hey.
VSKFs. No, VSKFs kind of suck, but if they're on the right build, they can be dope as hell.
Yeah.
But that's what it's
Yeah.
the cohesiveness.
That's what I
of
mean.
it.
Like it like there's a way to do it, and I think it is, you know, kind of difficult to figure out sometimes, and it's even more difficult to stick to it
Yeah.
because you know it's really easy, and you fall into the trap of like, I just want to modify this car, I just want to get parts on it, I just want to get it ready for this show, I just want to do this, just want to do this, and you kind of rush it. And you don't wait for those parts to be available, or you didn't wait to save up for the thing that you actually.
I think
really
waiting
wanted.
to save up for the thing is
That's
It also
it's
kind of
super
helps you
hard.
make sure you're making the right decision too.
Right,
Because
yeah.
you do get some hesitation when you're holding on to a part for a little bit
Yeah.
before you have to buy it.
And it's like I
True.
think it's important to kind of go into it and have like an overall vision of the car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not just piece it together.
I would
Like-
agree with that.
Like, oh, I'm ready to buy wheels now. Which wheels should I get? It's
I
like
think-
you should have an idea of
and-
what everything looks like.
And I think that's also maybe something, Dakota, you may have done, I don't know, intentionally or unintentionally, but it's kind of like the
Intentional.
conversation of buying TE37s, right? People will be like, they're overplayed. People always do them. And I think that's because I think people buy them for two very specific reasons. One, because they just know that that's a real wheel to buy and they're safe with that purchase. So when they do rush it, they rush right into their first real wheel purchase, which is a TE37
Yeah.
or VSKF or
Or
something
RPF1.
like that, or an RPF1. And then there's the other people that I think are buying it for your reason, where you're saying, no, I really wanted to get into this wheel because I'm going more into this function,
Yeah.
you know, this attacking look. I want the flow of the car to really have that from front to back, and that's
Right.
why I'm choosing it. And it's also, you know, a really light wheel. I think that people sometimes combine the two, and I think what you did with the wheels is the right way to go about it.
Yeah, thanks. There's absolutely thought process behind thinking of what my next wheel purchase would be, and I want to do something I never did. And I'll absolutely, I won't lie. There was times I was like getting those wheels because I'm dropping a chunk of change on
Yeah.
this shit, and I was like, they are really overplayed. You see a lot of supers. I'm on the super pages, and a ton have TE37s. But part of me was just like, no, like I've never had TE37s. I've never got to put them on a car, and for me, that was something I wanted to experience and do. And they are light as fuck, so it met the functionality. I know they look good. They're in super spec, so it just made sense.
And not to mention, like, you have a bunch of like it matches because you have a bunch of like legit Japanese parts on it. You got a bunch of HKS stuff on it. You
Yeah,
know?
I've been trying to do that flow of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I went specifically with the HKS because obviously the car is very German.
Mhm.
That's nothing hidden. And I wanted to accentuate the Japanese side of things. So I immediately, when I started doing it, I wanted to get Japanese parts for it so I could lean into that side a little bit,
Right.
so balance it out a little bit. But one thing too, I think that could help a ton of people. This is the secret sauce. You listening? This is it. This is how you make a cohesive car.
I'm listening.
And you follow this. It's very simple. You get 3 colors. That's it. Okay? You have your primary, you have your secondary, and you have your accent. The accent, light as hell. Barely use it. Just a touch of it, maybe here or there, or don't even use it at all. The secondary, maybe wheels, maybe part of your vinyl, maybe a little splash in the grill or something, or interior. And then you have your primary, that's basically the color of your car, the main color of your wrap or whatever. And then you look at those 3 colors and you make them blend. You make something out of those 3 colors.
Yeah.
I promise you, you will go so far if you just stick to that.
Absolutely. No,
Totally.
I think it's a huge thing. I know you've told me that in the past before too, and ever since then,
that's-
I can't look at like cars
You know
the
what's
same
funny,
way
though?
anymore.
just the fact that I wanted a Volkswagen Harlequin right before this, like 10 seconds
Yeah.
ago. But that's a different subject. That's a different decision. I know I'm going back on what I just said about that. But when you're building a normal car and not a clown car, 3 colors.
3 colors. 3 colors is good. I've talked about that in previous, videos of the times past where it's like people want to always go very excessive with everything that they touch, especially on a car.
Yep.
And I think
and it's not hard to do.
No, it's super easy because
a
you
balancing
start looking down the rabbit hole of certain like parts to buy and you're like, "Oh, well, it can start with something as simple as when people go and they get an aftermarket intake for their car. It's almost always like, okay, so you can get that polished intake, or you can get, just like a simple black. And like it seems like 8 out of 10 times people are going with like that polished piece,
Right,
and
they
then
want
they want the colored air intake. So they've already gone and added 2 colors with one part right out of the gate, and nothing else in the car is polished
And then like
at
the
all.
the actual like the rubber connector thing.
And then that's
It's like
blue.
Yeah.
And then everything starts going.
And then you have clown car.
Yeah, and then you have everything going
Might
buck
as well
shit
have
wild.
a Golf Harlequin.
I would always just say, like, just to compliment what Gels has said, I think flow is super important,
And it's very difficult.
And I think it's also important to look at flow from like an actual physical perspective of the car as well, because you can see how certain parts like protrude from a car or slim out a car or push into a car, and that all changes like the flow of how a car looks. Like when you design something, you want it all to kind of feel like it's coming together in some way, shape, or form. So if you add canards to your front bumper, but you have no side skirts, you have no additional spats, you have nothing else on the car that
Too
would
front
essentially
heavy.
brought it, through the side and then through the back, then it's going to look weird. It's like when people throw the ankle cutters, those massive rear diffusers on their car. It's like, I don't think there's anything wrong inherently with that, but then they put the huge battle arrow wing on it. There's absolutely no side skirt change. There's no front bumper change. And then it's like, well, why does the back of your car look like, why does it look so heavy in the
Sagging,
back?
yeah.
It looks like it's sagging. And I think, flow is really important. So if you're going through and you're installing something like a front lip, keep in mind that a lot of times a front lip goes with additional components, side skirts, rear bumper, maybe a diffuser if you have it. And then typically a duckbill, a lip, or a wing are usually going to complement that, because the whole point of a splitter or diffuser is some sort of airflow dynamic improvement, right? So it's like, if you're buying something for looks, it's totally fine. Like, don't hear that you should only buy things for function. Do whatever the fuck you want with your car.
Right.
But keep in mind that when you're buying a part, if it is only for looks, make sure that if that's part of a greater whole, you're keeping that in mind, and that you buy it all the same flow. Like really simple stuff even. Like if you buy carbon fiber and you get it in a 1x1 weave, try to keep a 1x1 weave in all of your carbon fiber. You'd be shocked at how much that helps your car look like it came from the factory.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen.
and stop putting fucking vinyl carbon next to real carbon.
That is a really silly
and
thing.
stop doing honeycomb and then forged and then weave
Oh,
and
God.
then
Ooh, yeah,
just
okay.
carbon is carbon.
I do think that forged carbon has been a little bit of a fad, and I think it's going to
Yeah.
go away
Forged
again.
carbon makes no fucking sense.
It's so
See?
expensive.
Because
All
it's
it
literally
is just cut up fucking fibers and then you just put epoxy over it.
Why is it so expensive?
I don't know.
I think it's
That's
because
why I don't get
I
it.
think it's all just their manufacturing process, because you have different ways that you can lay carbon. But if they are just literally throwing it down into a mold and then putting like using like a vacuum seal for it,
Yeah.
then it's
No,
trash.
like it looks good. I don't think there's any reason it should cost more.
Yeah.
Honestly,
no, it should probably actually cost less.
there's no structural integrity.
there-
the
if
only
it's-
structure to it is the fucking resin that they use.
Yeah, really the only technology improvement on carbon fiber, just so you guys know, is like if you're paying for more, you're paying typically for like pre-preg, which is they're injecting the resin into the carbon fiber as it's being like heated and then.
I don't like the word
formed.
preg.
Would you like to be pre-pregged?
No.
Me neither.
Carbon fiber also, that I would say that kind of can fall into that 3-color rule. Be careful with carbon fiber.
Yeah,
We
'cause
all
it's
love
like
carbon
it's like
fiber.
a texture.
Yeah,
you know?
you got to be careful with it. And some cars can hide it better than others, so you can get away with some more. But sometimes you can go overboard
Yeah.
with carbon, and it gets to a point where it's like, that is just
If you
tacky.
if you do have an old car and you're like, this is gonna like, I don't know, get really focused. But I do feel a lot of people have been here before. They jump into their first car. They don't have a lot of money. They want to modify their car. They don't know where to start. And it's like, go into your car and clean and detail and scrub and maybe respray your black, like the plastic black components with the proper, go through and just restore. Like go through, clean, restore, take out the bolts, clean them down. If you got to get new ones, go get new ones. You'd be shocked at how much just changing out your hardware. You just got dress up bolts for the Mazda RX-8. Just simple things like that can make a car that's, by all definitions, very, very stock, maybe has some wheels and tires, look a million times better than a car that went completely overboard with a ton of mods because you actually took your time with it. I think the people that do appreciate that, you'll see a much better response from the community.
Absolutely. There's so many times I've been to like a car meet and got so excited because I see a car and it may be bone stock, but the fact that it's clean and mint and you can tell that someone takes pride and they take care of it. And I get hyped over that car, just seeing how good of condition everything is.
It's the harder cars too, to keep clean, I think deserve like a special place in everybody's heart, because cars like the 180SX, the 240SX, like those cars were built
I see a 240 without a cracked dash. I'm like, holy shit.
I mean, they were literally built with a shelf life. Like they were built with volume in mind and knowing that they weren't going to last forever on the road. So it's like when you see one of those that is one color, well kept. Not saying you shouldn't drive your cars, but it's like you see somebody that didn't just go out there to smash it to bits, and they're like, "No, I take care of this. It's it's a stock color. I refinished it. I lowered it. I put it on some nice 16-inch wheels, and this is what I got." And it's like that is sick to me. That Honda Civics, the hatches from the Honda Civic days. Yeah. My God, you can do very little of those things and make them look better than a supercar.
Yeah, you don't need to go overboard to have a good car build. Sometimes simplicity can make the cleanest of car builds, and then maybe some people get really worked up because it's not a build, wheels and suspension isn't a build. But I think there's just an aesthetic to it and a purpose. If you have a purpose and it's your style and it's what you enjoy and that's what you like, then it can be a car build.
But to go, when you go slow, you're forced to learn.
Yes.
You're forced to understand what you're doing. Like if you're going to replace bolts and you're going to replace like those sort of components and you get something new, like you start to understand the little details of what makes that car special, and I think that the education of the build will almost always trump the noise a build can make, like aesthetically,
And I think too, another part of the cohesiveness that a lot of people don't do is if you're modifying the outside, you should definitely do that with the inside. Like you should follow the same theme throughout the car. The engine bay, the interior, and the exterior should all flow. And if I'm saying like not if necessarily like if you do a bunch of like big wing and lip and canards, you gotta like do a bunch of carbon fiber on the interior or anything like that. But there's simple accent changes or steering wheel changes that you can do, or simple mods, a shift knob, just to make it all flow together.
The simple stuff really does start to stand out. Like we used to talk about, at least when I was helping other people do this too, where it's like you can pick a loud piece, and that can go into the conversation about your 70-20-10 rule of colors. But I think everybody always wants to have something that is like their prized possession on their car build, and it's like that's great, but remember you have to build around that as well. So if you go crazy wheels that have a massive like function look, a massive function presence, you're like, okay, well I'm gonna start doing all these exterior aero components. Well, then you might find yourself in a position where you're really underselling the interior. You start going racing seats, you start doing the harnesses, and you may start to figure out that, crap, this build is not going to actually be comfortable to like drive and enjoy and do. And like that happens a lot too. You get so far into a build, you don't enjoy driving it anymore. So try to look at the end result of what you're aiming to do, and then work backwards. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to understand what you want to do before you start.
And there's nothing wrong with changing it up either.
Yeah.
Like, don't feel because, like, oh, I bought this part and I installed it, it's got to be like that for the rest of your life. You can take stuff off.
Sell it.
Buy something different. Yeah.
100%.
Facebook Marketplace made that shit easy.
Yes, it did.
Easy and fucking hell on earth.
It's a double-edged sword.
My God, some of the people on Facebook Marketplace.
I think they've made it easier for you to reach out to, but Craigslist still had its fair share of shitty. Like
Craigslist fucking sucked. I don't care what anyone says. It was the worst goddamn way to like sell something. I'm sorry.
Hey, can you send pictures? And it's like,
here's my phone number in symbols and capital and not capital, so I don't get spam called 24/7.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was
shit sucked.
yeah, Facebook Marketplace is great because anybody that just uses like the templated "Hey, is this still available?" you just don't respond to
Yeah.
because you just put in the ad. If it's here, it's available. You know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got 8 minutes left.
Yes.
Should we do the series that we did last time?
What was it called again?
Zero context.
Zero context. So
No, it's like no context.
no context. Oh,
No
yeah,
context.
yeah. What it was you get asked a question, you have to answer it, but you're not allowed to go into detail
You
about
get
your
a very
answer.
short response.
You get one
No
sentence
context.
to explain your opinion, your answer to the question. That is it. So the whole goal is to take this entire thing out of context, and we'll post it on TikTok so everybody can get mad at us.
I like it. Yeah.
All right.
If you got some, let's let her rip.
Gels, do you have anything? Would you like to start?
Do you think wide bodies are getting overdone? Or do you think that they'll die anytime soon?
I'm trying to think how to answer this in one sentence. Because
No, you can't. No, you can't explain prior to the answer either.
I'm just saying, like, that's why I'm pausing.
You got one?
Like, I have an answer. It's just, yes, Gels, yes. Overplayed, going to die out, yes.
No. Overplayed, not going to die out.
Yeah, God, I hate that part.
Like,
I
damn
hate
it.
that part.
I thought of something. Yeah.
I'll stick with it. All right, we got ask Gels one now. You got any, Alex? You got anything you've been brewing up, thinking about, wanting to get off your chest?
Why do people defend objectively poorly manufactured vehicles? Like,
This sucks.
Like what?
He's making an answer in a
Like
question.
what?
He's
Yeah, it's a
making
very
an answer
leading
in a
question.
question.
Objection.
Loaded.
Objection.
I won't say Hyundai. Like the rotary engine.
So, okay, can you run it back again? What was the question?
Why do people defend poorly engineered vehicles or applications like or such as the rotary?
Because it's a challenge and it's different.
Done.
And people
Done.
like
Done.
to have
Done.
that as their whatever you call it.
God damn it, you had to cut him off, and now we have to ask the question again for the
No,
short.
I remember. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's fair. Got a
Okay.
clean one.
Gels,
Yes.
one more time.
Yes.
Why do people defend objectively poorly made things for cars such as the rotary engine?
Because they look at it as a challenge and it's different from what other people are doing. And it's one way that they can be different. So that's why they decide to stick with it.
I like it. See? Boom. Not all is bad.
Meh.
What do you think?
Hipster. All right.
People like rotary because hipster.
I like it. There's no explanation
Okay.
needed.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
All right. What do you got?
Okay. Volkswagen Harlequin. This is your car for the rest of your life.
Is it Harlequin or Harlequin?
Harlequin.
Changes.
He said it multiple different times.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Volkswagen Harlequin.
Okay.
No, he's waiting.
Rest of your life, or Hyundai Veloster.
Like, is it at least
Veloster.
a turbo one?
Aren't they all turbo?
No.
Or was there
Is it a turbo or not a turbo?
N or no N?
no turbo, so that way they're both NA.
N or no?
'Cause remember,
They're
the Harlequin's not a GTI or anything. It's just a
Oh,
Golf.
they're both NA. I'll take the fucking Harlequin.
Yeah, I'd take the Harlequin too. If it was a turbo, I'd take the Veloster.
I don't know if I believe that. Hey, why are you saying so many words after
That was
your
one
answer?
sentence.
This guy cheats at his own
That's
games.
a sentence. It's literally a sentence.
Gotta look good.
Yeah, he's got to just clarify a little bit on his answer before
Sorry,
moving on.
I abided by the rules of the game.
Sorry, I thought this was no context and
If
not
you-
a little context.
If you guys are listening, you all just lost the game. Congratulations.
Hey, no, the beautiful thing about that is I once read a thing and I took it to heart that said, "You are now done with the game. It is over. Congratulations. You are free. Move on with your
What the
life."
fuck are you talking about?
And I took that to
No,
heart.
that
Yep.
doesn't count. That's
Oh,
such a
nope,
cop way
it-
out.
What the
No.
hell are you talking about?
All right, I have a
Do
question.
you not know about the game?
What game?
Oh my God,
He's
Joe.
now playing the game.
Oh no,
so
this
the game
will ruin
is
your life.
yeah. The game is a fun game. Anytime.
What the fuck are you saying?
He's telling you.
The game is super simple. At least
game
the way
is
that
fun
we play
game.
it. Anytime that you think about the game, you've lost the game.
What game?
Exactly.
That's the game. Anytime you think of the game, which is this, it's the game. Anytime you think of it, anytime it's brought up, anytime you hear it, you lose.
Anytime somebody's
And
like, anybody says you've lost, and you're like, lost what? And they're like, the game.
And then you're like,
You lost because you thought about the game.
you'll see there'll be random posts all of a sudden, like at the end of it, it'll say the game.
Is this
or
a
like,
millennial thing?
No.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, it was the same era as COD and RuneScape
And Halo,
Pokemon.
Digimon. If
It
you're
never hit northern Wisconsin, I guess, because I don't know what the fuck. you're
Everyone
talking
I've ever met in my life knows about the game. Mario, do you know about the game?
yeah,
knows about
Mario
the game.
knows about the game.
He didn't even know what a chicken pot pie was, my guy.
Yeah. All right.
about. Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry to everyone listening to Alex, but here, I will
Why
free
would you
you. If
blame
you're
me?
listening to this, you are now free from the game. You no longer need to play. You have got to the end. You've done it. You've made it this far. You're clear of it. If you hear the game, don't matter. You're not playing no more.
Thank God.
Leave it
I
to the
just
rest of
learned
them.
about it, and it sounded horrible.
Welcome back to the game 2. It's a new
Okay,
game.
DLC
okay.
pack.
I want more
This
questions.
one-
I want more questions.
This
All right.
one's got a battle pass.
All right, I got a question for you. Do you think people that fight over name brand parts are silly?
Oh man, that's a tough one to explain with
Oh.
no context. I'll say no. Because I can't say.
Yes,
All right.
and I can't say why.
Okay, I got one. This one's a would you rather. Sorry, I keep thinking of like would you rather, but like every single nut, bolt, screw on your car is finger loose, or every single nut, bolt, screw is stripped.
Finger loose.
Finger loose. That was easy.
Oh, okay. You even drive it?
I got both of those on my 240.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, no shit. You're right on that one.
Oh, when I was at Banging Gears, I was trying to get the carbon fiber diffuser off of the 430, and one of the bolts wouldn't come off because it was seized, and so I ended up having to take a tap and die set and fucking yank it out. And somebody came up for like the very first time, was like, "Hey, are you Alex?" And I'm like mid into it, fucking just super pissed. I got like my knee up on the diffuser like this, and I look and I'm like, now is not a very good time. And he walked away.
You
and I
dick.
Dude, I was trying to get this bolt out. I had like 10 minutes. I was freaking out that I wasn't
What a
going to get it done in
dick.
time.
What
Oh,
a dick.
yeah, well, sometimes.
fuck
Don't
that
approach
Alex
Alex,
guy.
in
Yeah.
public. You'll
No,
get the, you're gonna
Ma.
get third
You're
degree.
gonna get canceled now. There was nothing but influencers there. You're fucked.
Yeah, apparently. I did get the bolt out, thank God.
No.
I actually have it in my toolbox.
There is a time and place, but I mean,
Out
you
of
can't
context.
get mad at other people.
I
Because
wasn't mad at him.
Your broken
I'm
ass
saying
car
that
is
was-
broken.
That was a very long response. That's all I'm saying.
That wasn't an answer to a question.
Then what's your answer?
I already answered. I said loosey goosey.
Loosey goosey. Okay.
All right, if you made it this far in the podcast and you're listening on YouTube, I'd really love if you dropped a bread loaf emoji in the comments because I want to see who makes it this far and know the real ones that are out there. So make sure you drop that.
Drop
Appreciate
a
you
fat
guys
loaf.
listening. If there's anything you
Fat
want to hear
loaf.
specifically from us to talk about, you can drop that too. I'm sure we'll get to that. And we'll see you on the next MartiniWorks podcast. And hopefully I have a Volkswagen Harlequin by then.
No, because that means the world's ending.
Yeah, there's not really
I
a
don't
good...
want that to be the credentials for me getting
Anytime
one.
you have a Harlequin, there's something bad is happening. The world has ended. You're going to Alaska. There's zombies. Something happened, and now you have
Maybe
one.
that is a good thing because like if I had one, I would just be smiling. I'd just be happy. So that would be fine. Then worst case scenario, I'm still smiling. I got a backup plan. Sounds like you guys got to get to work.
He's not wrong.
Yep.
Oh my God.
We got to get to the airport.
Can you stop enabling him?
We do need to. We're going to Virginia International Raceway like right after this, and there's a fucking snowstorm. And you know it's a snowstorm because they gave it a name. So
Shit.
we got to get the hell out of here.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Alex is out. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Oh, Alex, you're a dickhead. You ignored a fan. That's fucked up.